Hello guys, it's Obi, and today we're gonna start a new playlist. I was commissioned to make this piece, to show you how this is done by Michael, and he wanted to make it public for everyone, so everyone can see the tutorial of how would I make this, and you can learn something new. We're not gonna make this overcoat because of physics and stuff, but we're gonna make pants, we're gonna make belt, shirt, maybe I make shemagh in hood too. We'll see. So on the right side here, we have pure ref, so you just drag it over so it's easier for you to navigate, because even if you move around, you can still see your pure ref over it. Now, when it comes to clothing, we're gonna make it in Marvelous Designer. What version you use, it really doesn't matter. What is important is that you have fabrics and stuff here, so you have that downloaded. You'll see it later on. Don't worry about this, I'm just clicking random stuff. So in order to have the fabric made, we have to have the basic body that we're gonna use. So you can use 3BA, you can use B-hump. I will always go with 3BA because of it's more popular, and if you make it in 3BA, you can later convert it to B-hump or what was it called, Ube or something. You can convert it easily. So first we need to drag any body of those so we can use it as basically reference, as a mannequin we will make clothing on. So the very first step would be we need to go into Outfit Studio. In Outfit Studio, you have to load reference, for example, or you can go import. Let's say you want I don't know, there's 3BA body, this is good, but if you have Uniboob versions, they're even better, and I'll show you why. Let me see. Because do you see this part here? Let me switch. If you press W, you can see the meshes, but you see, look at the difference here. There's no tucking in parts. You see, there's no like tucked in parts, but if you go into normal, you will see them there. But what will you use? It really doesn't matter. You can easily move it back and forth. Let's see with the normal one. Look at the difference now. You see how this part is really tucked in, and this can ruin your clothing sometimes, but there are ways around it. You can use this, it's completely normal, but I think would be better off using Uniboob version. You can you just type in, I think, CBB or 3BA Uniboob, and you can find this version. I wonder if there's a ref version, because I know it was there somewhere. Let's see what this is. Okay, no. We're just gonna use the version with Uniboob. But it's not about the breast part, it's more about the butt part. So we're gonna use it on the butt. Because when it comes to breasts, it's really not important, but the chaos becomes here when you make underwear or stuff. So I use Unibutt version here. If you still see this, just press W. If you don't want to see texture, you just press T and it's okay. And now, if you would export this, it would be okay. It would completely be okay, but when you start making the shemagh or something, you would have clothing falling through the neck. You see how there's no neck here. So that's a problem. Also, you cannot make a shirt all the way here because you're missing hands. And also feet if you want to make boots. So you got to import this. So how you do it is you go to File, Import from Nav, and you want to make sure that you have that you're importing the body parts of the body you selected. So I'm going into Data of Skyrim. I just have shortcuts because it's a lot faster for me. This is the part for me. So it's Steam Apps Common Skyrim Special Edition Data, and you want to go into the meshes here. Then we want to find actors here, and then you want to go into character assets, and now we want to find female hands. If you don't have this, that means you use Mod Organizer if it's not here. And if you use Mod Organizer, for you it's going to be in, I don't know where your location is, you just go into and you find the MO. I think for me it's like, I have no idea what is it to me. I don't use it for this, I use Vortex. But you find it in your drive, and you're gonna have something like, maybe it's here. Yeah, I think this is a Fallout for me, but you'll see what I mean. So you find wherever the 3BA is, and it's here for you, right? Actors, character assets. This is just so you know it. For you, it's gonna be 3BA or whatever, but this is just the way that you do it. For me, it's here, so I'm just going to import it. I'm importing 0. I'm not importing 1, just so you know. And let's see. If you have this mismatch, that means that that is because of the Unibat version. Let's see what happens if we import number 1. Up. Female hands. I'm blind, guys. Female hands. Here we go. Let's see. Oh, okay. So this is like 1 version, if you know what I mean. That's okay. It's not a big deal. We will probably have to downsize it later on, but that's not an issue. So now we go again, and we want to import our head. And this head is actually okay, believe it or not. This is okay. If you don't want to look at this head, you can also export the head from your game. But I'll just import the feet too, just so I'm done with it. Also feet 1. Head, you can use that one, it's completely normal. But if you want to render stuff later on, and it will be a lot better if you just use the SOS version you exported from the game. You know, when you're in race menu and then you go into sculpt and there's an option, I think it's when you press F5 it says export head, and that's what I'm looking for now. You can use the vanilla one that I showed you a moment ago. It's completely normal, but I'm just looking if I can find the SKSC. So it's plugins, I think it's jargon 31st. Let's see. Yeah, you see, this is my character in game, but you obviously don't want the hairlines, you don't want any of this. I don't want any of this. If you're worried you're gonna delete something important, you just hide it and then delete it, just so you don't mess up. I don't need any of this. This is just gonna... I don't need any of this. So now you just have something like this. And what is that down there? Do you see this part? What the hell is that? Oh, that's mouth. Okay. So now we have our body that we're going to use to make the clothing on. Step number 1, go to File, Export. And you can export it as FBX or OBJ. I always go with OBJ because what FBX does is it also flips your UVs. Now, why is that important? If you go into rendering later on, when you make your model and you want it to, display it like I do on my mod pages, you want it to look amazing. The problem that you'll have is that your body will not fit the textures of the game that are already on Nexus. For game, that's not an issue because we're not going to use this, but for rendering it is. So I always go with OBJ. And you go into, I don't know, wherever you want, you make a folder. I have a base folder, you see, and I'll just call it, I usually call it base, but base new, I don't know, 3BA or Org, just so I know it's original. Now, why do I call it original? You will see in a moment, but don't close it yet, because we want to make sure that every part is connected, because sometimes when you click export, it just exports one piece, and we don't want that. We want it all. Now let's wait for the Blender to load up. Okay. File, import. I just deleted everything because we don't need the starting stuff. Base. Oh my god, how did I call it? Base new. Okay, so it did export everything, you see? But this is our org version, because if you press number 1 on your numpad, it goes into front view. You see that the rotation is entirely off. Now, the reason why the rotation is off is because if you export it as OBJ, it rotates it on Z by 180 degrees and then 90 degrees on X-axis. This is completely normal because when we have clothing, we're going to see it normally here later on. And then we will rotate it when we're done into this position and then export it back in here. So it's going to look like standing. Does it make sense? So basically standing in game is actually laying in Blender. It can be confusing at first to, understand it, but when we get to it, when we get to the part where we're done, it's all gonna make sense. So if you don't understand something entirely now, don't worry, it will be clearer later. But I want to show you something now. If you click on your body, so we're in object mode, maybe I can set up so you can see the keys. How do you do that? Hotkey. Where's it? Show hotkeys. Visual keying, is this it? I have no idea do you see it or not. Okay, I'll pause the video and I'll check it up real quick. Never mind. I downloaded it, but you see I'm getting errors, so we'll just have to continue without it. It would take too long. But when these are the basics of Blender. I think most of you guys know this. If not, I'll just repeat it loudly just so you know, just in case. Okay, so if you press tab, you go from object mode to edit mode. And in edit mode, you can do stuff like this. In object mode, you can only move the entire object. So if you have multiple objects, you can move them around. But you can also split this object into many more, like, I don't know, hands, head, just so you know. So now if we go into edit mode and you zoom in on these crossings, you see where the head connects with torso and where a hand connects with arms. You might not see this a bit better, but you see them anyways. Good practice is to always click right and smooth, shade smooth. Look at this. Do you see this line? It is because it's not smoothed properly. But it can also be, you see it's not connected. Do you see it? Look, if you go, this is also one of those parts that are not connected, and I'll show you how to connect them. So if you go here and you can see that they align almost perfectly, you see? But this one doesn't, because I don't know why, but it has extra thingy, but it makes quad anyways. I don't know if you can see it. But if you left click on any of these and then you press G, you can move it around. But we don't want to move it around. We want it to stay exactly as it is. But I use this just to see if there's a gap there. So you can just pull it and you right click and it just puts it back to where it was. So I know there's a seam here because I imported these pieces separately, if you remember. There should be a seam somewhere here. You can see it. Yeah, I can see it. It's already here because the line is a bit thicker. You see? On your numpad, there's on the right of 0, there's a del key. If you press it, it will zoom you in on exactly the piece where you're working on. So you see, there's also a line here. There's lines everywhere. So how do we fix it? You click on your object, you go into modifiers. It's on the right side here. It's like a little branch. You go into add modifier, you type in W, and then you select weld. So you see how they disappear. Look, Control Z, you see them here? Oop, they're gone. And this tells you how far do you want them to weld. And because they're exactly on one on top of the other, I can choose minimal distance. If you would select really big distance, what happens is two dots that are very far away will connect and it will ruin your model. So we don't want it. So once you're done, you can right click here, I think, click apply, but it doesn't, here, apply, or you can just select over this and Control A like I do. It's a lot faster when you're used to it. Now, let's see if we fixed it. There will probably be still little parts like this, but it is what it is. We fixed it because there's extra polygons, but in here it will be completely fixed. You see? Okay, in any way, let me test something out. What if we subdivide it? I'm just testing something. You don't have to do this because if it works for me, it will work for you too. And this model already has 60K, 61K triangles, so I'm subdividing it. It's going to be probably 250K, so it might take a bit. And it's not destructive. That is what's important. It works. You see, we're on like 365 now, but you don't do that. I'm just checking if I connected it properly. If you use vanilla head, you will not have this issue, although this is not issue at all because we don't use this for anything other than mannequin. This will be entirely connected. I hope you understand what I'm telling you. Now we export it again. as obj instead of the one we imported already. So instead of this one, right? Okay. So now what we do is you click number 1 on your numpad and you go into front view. You click A to select everything RZ 180. So basically rotate on Z axis by 180 degrees. Then you do R X 90. I'm just clicking things on the keyboard as I said. So look, let's do it again just to show you. It should look like this, but I just want to tell you. For example, I click on keyboard R, then X, and it's only going to rotate on the X-axis, you see? But if you type in number after you do RX, and you type in any number, it's going to move to that number at that angle. Pretty simple. Now this is what we call fixed version. In the fixed version is the version we use in Marvelous Designer, the one we use to make clothes. So this will not be org version, this will be fixed version. I always call them fixed, just I don't know why, but it works. You can do smooth groups, but it doesn't really matter. There we go. So this is what we use in Marvelous Designer. Now we can close Blender. And now we go into Marvelous Designer. If you don't have Marvelous Designer, I think there's a free trial you can use. It's like 30-day free trial. You can learn everything about clothes in that time. And then you can decide whether you want to buy it or not. And why do we use this instead of ZBrush right away? Is because a Marvelous Designer is a lot more realistic in creating clothes. Although if you're experienced enough, you can make equally good clothes in ZBrush. I love making it also by hand, sculpting in ZBrush, because you know it's a lot more engaging than this. But this is pretty easy way, because some folds that you don't even know exist will appear here, and it will look pretty realistic. Now I'll stop rambling, but I'm just trying to explain this to you best that I can. Well, so what we do first when we load up, you have this section here on the left side. It is your 3D window, and on the right is a pattern window, or 2D window as people call it. Up here on the far right side, you have fabrics. So if you have different fabrics, if you have velvet, leather, I don't know, you're going to have them here. You click add and you select it. In here, this is, you don't see it yet, but this is where all of the options for our clothing will be. Right, okay. File, import, obj, and you want to go into base and you want to import fixed version that we made. It was called 3BA fixed for me. 3BA fix, here it is. So we want to import this, and this thing pops up. Now I want you to copy this after me, because this is the way I'm used to it. Is there a better way? Probably, but I don't know of it. This is how I do it. 19. Click on 90% and then click OK. So what this does is it will scale it down to the size you want. Sorry about that. What this does is it scales it to a size that it scales it to a marvelous size. Look, I don't know how to explain this to you. Let's click 19, click OK, you'll see now. Proceed. This is to my memory. It doesn't matter. It's because my hard drive is completely full. Yeah, look. It's like 6 gigs left. Okay, this is what I mean. Why did we import it as 19? You know that Marvelous Designer as a software, it has its own avatar. And those avatars are the ones that people are supposed to design clothes on, right? But since we don't use that avatar, but we import our own, we need to scale it down to the size of Marvelous character. How do we know what character size is the Marvelous Designer model? Is if you can check it here in avatar and you can import it, but there's also a better way. Because if you select show bounding volumes, I think it's this. These bounding volumes are the bounding volumes chosen by default for Marvelous Designer avatar. You can see, for me it's a bit off, but you see the point. It's in this scale. Now, why is it important that we have it scaled down to Marvelous size, Marvelous avatar size? Because if you simulate clothes, when your character is like this small, like 1 square, it's going to be not good. It's going to look entirely different than what it's supposed to look, right? Leather it looks on this size different than it looks on smaller size or bigger size, which means that this size is the perfect size to simulate clothes on, to make it realistic. Right? I hope you understand. Let's see. Just put it on 19. Don't question it. Okay, so let's break down this character first before we start working on it. So we said it has a shirt. What type of shirt this is? This is a shirt that can have no straps going up on the shoulders. So it's probably like, you know, that like strapped top. If it is a tank top, that means that the straps are here. We need to decide what do we want to make it. I think it's best if we make it strapless, and then we can add straps later on. Let's see. Let's make the shirt first. Let's make it the way I would make it. So we go into 2D window here. You can zoom in, and you select this third icon. It says polygon, right? What it allows you to do is it allows you to draw the shirt. Pretty simple. So how do these shirts look like? I think they look something like this. And then you have this, and then it goes down, and I don't know, maybe we can make it like this. Don't worry about you see it's going on the angle, but don't worry about it. I'll fix this, but you see the point. Let me show you. I don't know, maybe like this, and maybe inwards a bit, and this will go up. So what I did here is if you press V on your keyboard, you can select, you get the curves, and you can make this, you see? So now I'm just making it somewhat resemble it, and this will probably be a lot off, but I'll fix it. So click the first transform pattern, and you can also make it a bit bigger. Just find what you like. Then once you're done with this, select it, right click, symmetric pattern with sewing, and click here. You see they're a bit too close. So in this window, I just select it and I move it to the side. If you're having difficulties seeing what you're making because of the same color of character, you select your character. And on the right side, you have color. I always go with black color because I can easily see the difference between the character and the thing I'm working on. Also, there's one more thing we'll fix later on, but not now. I remembered it, but it's not important yet. So I don't know where to put it. Maybe here. Okay. And now, if you press N on your keyboard, or you go up here and you click Segment Sewing, you can sew this part to this part. You see, you can also do it here, but it's best to get used to do it in 2D window because it's a lot more. It's a lot better. But you might wonder, like, why are you not sewing this and this part? I'm not sewing it right away because it is going to just fall down on the ground because it has no connection. So what we do next is we select both of those things and you go into pressure. It should be right here on the right side, but you can only see it after you selected the pattern. So you go to something like, I don't know, -10, for example, and click OK. And you see it kind of snaps to your body, but not in a perfect way. But that's not important for us now. We just want to get it into shape. It looks like crap now, but don't worry about it. It's always like that. Okay. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to straighten out the corners so I can sew them together. Now look, if I was to sew it now, you see, it will be soon, but it's still a bit tense. What do we need to do is we need to make it a bit wider still. Or you can make this too. Look, you go into edit pattern and you pull this outwards and then you lower it down a bit. And since it's symmetric, it does it on the other side too. And now we pull it up, pull it up, pull it up, and up, and up, and up. We're putting it in shape, but it's still not looking good because it is being pressured. Click 0 on the side and simulate it again. Now, if you see, it's not pressured anymore, so we have to be a bit more careful, because the pressure used to keep it onto the body, but now it doesn't. So you might wonder, like, why do you just not do pressure on this part? I don't. It's meant for something else. Now, this is shirt. This is not like a blouse or something that is very soft. This character is probably bent a bit backwards, so it sticks to it, but for us it's not the case. You see, we have a lot of space here, and we need to fix it. Now, how do we fix it? We make our shirt longer. So you just drag this part down and you click OK. Okay, so now it is down, but it's still not the way we would want it to be. Let's see what we can do next. We want to fix this back part a bit, so it's kind of okay. And I want you to do this after me. We can make an entire new line, which is elastic seam. It is. Do you see this little part here? This is called elastic seam. So how do we do it? Is you can do it in two ways. You can add internal line here, and it's going to look great. Or you can just add a rectangle and just drag it like this. See? And you cannot just click N and then this, because it's only going to sew it to one side. We want it sewn to both sides. So what you do is you click M, and then you left click here. You hold Shift and take a look at the left side on the 3D window. Do you see that green line showing up? All the way to here. And then click left click. But don't let go of your left click. Okay, I did it now, but I have to do it again. So M, left click, holding Shift all the way to here, left click. And then I will go to here. So also holding Shift, right? Going here, and then going here. Ta-da! You see, and I let go. And now it's spread it evenly. Do you see this? It's a bit weird, but you get used to it. There's also another way to do it, and it is if you go in here and you click add point. So you add point somewhere in the middle. You see on the left side it says 5, 3, 4. Yeah, this is perfect middle for me. Do you see? You just click, and then you can do this like. But you know, I like to do it all at once. So we simulate it. Once you simulate it, you will see that we got our seam here. This is it. And there are many ways you can use this seam to stick to your character now. One way is pressure. I already showed you how pressure is, and you can also set it up so that it looks like on screen. You see, I don't know, like this. Whatever. You can make it. You can make this go down a bit, and then you just, you can set it up to look like, if you want it to exactly look like on the reference. You can also do it later on, so don't bother yourself with it too much. Just make sure that everything is fit. And now we see that there's a hole here, and that is because this edge is not connected to this edge. And if you click space and you connect it, ta-da! But I'm looking at certain things that I'm worried about from the start. Yeah, what are those things? You see, we have a line that goes in the middle because we literally use symmetry on the other side, so we can have it. That will show up later on. We will see that line clearly, and that is not what we want. So what would be the best way for us to get rid of this? I'm thinking. We can make it in two parts. We can make this shirt in two parts. What do I mean? Take a look. So if you delete this, but don't always do this. Do this only at the end, if you're making something different than what I'm doing. So we want to unfold. And you see how it's already getting not good. You see how it's, now we'll need to make it fit again. But it's, it's a bit extra work, but at least you won't have that line in the middle. And I know some people that did use Marvel's Designer in the past and are watching the video, and they'll say like, oh, that doesn't matter, you're using it for UVs only, and that is not true. That is because you don't know how to use it properly. But you'll learn. Look, so in this case, you see that this part is not connected. So you click M, or you go into free sewing again, And we continue from here. So you hold shift, left click all the way to here, and then you just do the same thing here. You don't let go of shift. And you see it fixes it for you. But with this comes a problem. And that problem is the back. You see, we will have a clear line on the back. We're not gonna have it on the sides, but it is what it is. We should have a line here. Let's see. How do we get the line there? So if you want to have a line there, we can make a cut here and then extend this part so it connects, but I'm too lazy for that. I'm okay with this. I am okay with this. Next step. Let's check if it has anything extra. I believe they should have seam on the top as well. Right, it would make sense. But if we make a seam, like this elastic seam on top too, in this part it will be smoothed and it will ruin this sharp shape that we have here. So we're gonna be very careful with it. But for now, select everything, and on the right side you have particle distance in millimeters. Let's put it to 10, but you must have everything selected, and click space. You see how it looks a bit better, but we still have, for example, this part here, right? It shows up pretty intensively and we don't want it. The top part is ruined because the elastic seam is missing. Also, this part looks pretty sharp, but you can, if you want to fix it, you just go V and you just do this. But on both sides. You see now the problem is, since symmetry doesn't longer work, we are left off with what we have. Or you can do it manually, but good luck with that. Okay, let me show you something else. If we select this and this, you hold shift and you click, you can select all of them, right? So it selects everything here, but here it only selects what we need. And you right click and you go offset as internal line and you type in, I don't know, 10 millimeters. You will get this seam just like down there, but just up here. And what you can do is you can do cut and sew if you really want to. And what will this do to us? It will allow us to have another seam. You don't need to cut it off, but you can if you want. Let's see something. So let's add another fabric. We're gonna add fabric that will be extremely non-bendable. It's like solid. If my marbles doesn't crash. Also make sure to save it often. I'll save it as tutorial. Make sure to save often, guys. If you don't save and you're into like really big project, it crashes, you lose everything. Don't do that to yourself. Okay, now let me show you how these fabrics work. Well, let's color them just differently, just so you understand what I mean. I'll color this one, I don't know, something brighter, like red. Oops, red. Click OK. And now look at this. So we see that everything is selected as this fabric, but I want the edges to be different fabric. So what do? I just drag and drop it over it. You see? The second fabric that we made, we're going to drag and drop it over this. And now it is exactly the same as the first one, just different color. And the colors here don't matter. Don't worry about colors. This is not the part where you choose colors. This is a part where we just separate fabrics so we can know what is what. And let's say you go into second one and you scroll down and you see this preset. You can select any preset you want here, but I will go for rib. You see this rib 1x1. This is a very heavy one and it works okay for what I want it to. And if you click space, you see how it smooths nicely, right? It is really thick. And that is what I want. But I also want it to be symmetric, right? As I said, don't worry about colors. Colors are not important yet. This part is a bit sharp as well. Now you see it a bit clearer, but we cannot do much about it. Everything else seems okay in my opinion. If you want to tuck in the shirt, there are more ways you can do it. And how do you do it? You might wonder. Well, look, if you move this up, it will be more tense. You see? Now you can also, if you want to, you can also do pressure -1, I believe. You see how it's a bit more stuck to your body. But it depends on your taste. What you can do is you can make this entire thing smaller. Let's see what happens. See, it's a bit more tense now. So you just move it as you like. You move it, tense it. See, if you drag it down a bit, you will lose these things and so on. I'll put it on 0 because I like it to be a bit more loose. Because 0, when you have it on 0, you have it exactly as the as it's meant to be viewed in as, right? Now you might wonder, like, why do you not have it exactly the same? I can do it, but I would need to do it in ZBrush. You can do it here too, but it's not important that it looks exactly the same. You see, you can do it like this later on, or just make this part go down like this. So this is, let's see, if you click, oh, one more thing, if you really want it to be like this. So let's say you click here, because this is the part you want to go down, right? It will show you here what it is. So what you do is you just, I don't know, do something like this. You see, and then you select this part, you move it up a bit, and so on. Okay, let's leave it like this. But you see the folds are pretty neat. And this is not exactly looking the way I want it to. So I need to move it up a bit. Okay, I'm happy with this. As I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just have to be nice. And you want to be really careful with this. I don't know if you see it. You see how it bends inside? We don't want it to bend inside too much because later on, I know it looks good and it can work too, but it will give you issues later on, and those issues are not something I want to deal with, and neither should you. So we move this up a bit, and this will tense this part up. See? Ta-da! Easy peasy. So if we want to move those folds up a bit, it's not good. It's really, really not good. Also this part a bit, I don't know, let's see. Okay, this is okay, as long as it's not, you know, extreme. Extreme is never good. This is okay, and you might wonder, like, well, what's up with these ones? And you'd be right, they're also a bit problematic, but I'll have to smooth them later on. You can also do this. See, like these little things. There are also cuts you can make, but I don't want to bother you with it. You see this? There's these little tricks. You know, there's a lot of them. This is something that is okay. I'm just teaching you to make sure it's an overcomplicated, but I talk a lot. But this will be a problem. Let's see what we can do. You can do these are called darts, or you can also make them yourself. I'll show you what it is. If you would do this, you probably saw this in clothes, like what are they called, suits. This is what you often see in suits. So you draw like a internal line, and what you do then is, I'll just show you this just so you know what you can do to tense the fabric up. And you delete this, and then you connect the top part to this part, and then you have like a, you know what I mean, these cuts. You can have these cuts if you want on the back or wherever, but it would need to make sense. The place where you make them, they need to make sense. I'll remove this. We need to move this in a bit, I think, like so. Yeah. But also what causes these things to happen is because this part is way too tense. You see the elastic part we made, it is too tense. But okay, this is something I can work with. Now let's move on. What is the next part we want to do with this shirt? With this shirt, okay, we would need to add those like little seams, like internal lines that follow the I don't know how to explain this, just do this. Okay, select the elastic line we have here. You right click on it, you click offset as internal line, and you select 5 millimeters, for example. And what it does is it does this part, but this is too, we want it to be smaller distance than that. Delete, try again. Let's say 2 millimeters. Do you see this line here? This is just like a decoration if you want it. And then later on, the little sewing in Substance Painter would go over here. That's the way it's usually done. You can also do the same on the lower side if you want. Let's say, but we can make it like 5. I don't know. It doesn't have to be. Okay, it does have to be pretty symmetric, so it looks good. Number 2. Okay, so it's like 2 millimeters. Click OK. So we have. Do you see this? You might think like, oh, this doesn't change anything. It's just a line, and you'd be right. But when we do something later on, it will make sense. Also, do the same up here. Select. You can select both of them in the same time, like. But let's do one by one. Select the top parts first, so we're doing the same thing as below. 2 millimeters, and you do it again. Oops. This. Turn a line, 2 millimeters. Okay. Yeah, there we go. I'm happy with it so far. But now comes another question. And if you see, we selected this elastic, like white part to be rib number 1, rib 1 times, I don't know, 400 grams, whatever. But what about the fabric itself? What is fabric itself set to be? It's set to also be this, but do we really want it as that, or do we want it as another material? I think the shirt, this looks like cotton to me. Let's try with cotton. So you select your red fabric, you go down here, and you select cotton. It's funny how the weather changes into horrible weather. It starts, a thunderstorm starts whenever I start making videos. It's insane. It's like hot for 3 weeks, and now it's on the day of recording. It just... Okay, fine, cotton. You can go with wool as well if you want it. Try linen also works. Let's try with this knit cotton jersey. Let's see what happens. So it's still not changed because we didn't simulate it. If you simulate our GPU, it will be very fast, but I damaged my last GPU by doing this. I wouldn't recommend you to do it. Just use standard normal default. You can also use accurate, but it will take a lot longer. I would just use your normal one because just use the normal. Click space, so it simulates. You see how it changes. We still get these crispy lines, but it's still not at the point where I want it to be. Why? Because it's not high poly enough. Just moving this, it doesn't change anything really. I'm just moving it back and forth. Select everything. Instead of 5 particles distance, select number 3. If your PC is stronger, you can go down to 1, and you might... I know a lot of you will say, oh, my PC is strong, I'll go to 1. My PC is strong too, I don't go down to 1. The lowest I go is 3. And I also have like so many software in the background that it will crash my software. So when you select 3, you gotta click space to run, and you have to wait. And when it simulates, I don't know how long it takes. It's different every time. It's not gonna stop until you stop it, so you just can click space, right? And now you see it looks really, really good. We're getting these. You see, this is tension fold. This is called tension fold. It's because this part is way too tense, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Let's look around. Do you see this? I don't know if you guys can see it on the video. I don't know if quality is going to be that high, but this happens because the body is way too low poly. Now, how can I explain this best? Imagine that you have a cube, right? You have a cube. Close your eyes. Imagine a cube, and you drop a blanket over it. How will that blanket look? It will take the shape of a cube, right? If you do the same on the body, if you drop it on the body, it's going to take the shape of the body. But if that body is made up of a lot of squares, it will look squarish, and that's why this is happening. So how do we fix it? Is we need to change the body, or we need to smooth the body, right? So it has a lot of squares, not just a small number of them, so it looks perfect. So that's how we'll fix this. As I said, I don't know if you can see it, but I can see it clearly on my end. So you select the body, and you go down all the way here in the property thing. You see smooth out. You click on this, and one subdivision level will be just enough. You click smooth. You don't. you might wonder like, okay, I want my thing to look the best. I'm gonna go to like 10 here. Bro, that's not how it works. Don't go crazy. Click space. You see? No more of those things, and the body changes itself. See, it looks a lot more natural now. A lot better. I know these things are sticking out a bit, but yeah, what can we do about it? We'll fix it later. Let's talk about one more thing. Particle distance. This thing that I told you. I told you how to put it, why to lower it down, but I didn't explain you what it does. So imagine if you have imagine if you have this body, right? And you have, I don't know, a particle distance of 100. Let's say this is one particle, this is another, and distance between them is 100. So if the distance is 100, that means this model is going to have like 5 of those words, right? It's going to be very low poly. But if the distance is like 1 millimeter, it's going to have million of them, and it's going to look better. So basically, the lower particle distance you have, the higher polygon your clothing is. Also, just if you're getting started with this, you saw mods like, I don't know, high poly this, high poly that. Fuck that, bros. It's not the way you think. Higher poly the model is, the less valuable it is. You know? How do I mean it? If in game you have very high poly model showing something that could be shown with low poly model, you're just being a fool. You're just clicking 2 buttons and saying, oh, I made this, I'm professional. No, you're not. Look, high poly models are used only for baking, nothing else. If you see high poly models by themselves in raw form in game, that is horrible. It ruins the quality of your game. It won't look better because those things are not that visible to our eye. It's just people are going insane. Don't be like that. Don't be like that. And also, if you don't like this, like nipples popping up, what you can do is you can use a model without them, or you can smooth it out later on. But let's say this is the shirt part, right? We're done in marbles with our shirt. We need to Z-remesh it and all of that. But I promised to Michael that I will not use ZBrush a lot. So this is the part where we go into ZBrush, we do what we have to, and we're done with it. So what I like to do is I like to keep projects separate. So I told you we have to make all of this, right? But I like to keep my project separate. So, but I'm really low on space. You saw it. I have like 5 gigs of space. Look at this. I have like 5 gigs of space. I will use it on a single file. But for you, I would recommend you, when you go into File, Save Project, you save it as a different project for shirt, for pants, and for everything. Because if you're going to make pants now, and you're going to repeat everything we did for shirt, when you simulate, you're not going to simulate just pants, you're going to simulate the shirt too. And when you simulate those 2 things at the same time, I don't know if your PC will be able to handle it. So if you're going to do it on the same, if you want to do it right now, you want to go with the pants and stuff, what I would recommend you is you select everything here, and you right click, and you go deactivate pattern and swing, and now you're good to go. Then you can go on with the, right? It's also a good way to do it. But let's get back to our ZBrush stuff. Once you're happy with this, again, I'm telling you, you might do some other changes. You might move it around. But once you're happy with it, you want to select it. Just this part. You go to File, Export, OBJ selected. And you want to go into, I don't know, Skyrim. And we want to call it Tutorial. I don't know, Tutorial. And we want to save it as, I always save it as a raw. Because what we get from Marvel's Designer is not finished. It's not finished version. This is very raw version that will not work in game. But you can ignore all of this, but it must be single object, it must be weld, it must be thin, and if you don't weld it, you'll need to do, if you remember what we did with the body where you select modifier to weld it, but I would weld it here, thin, and this will be 1 millimeter. But I forgot to explain you one more thing, because I'm looking at 2D pattern. In here, on the right side, you have UV editor. And in here, it's not a big problem. In this model, if I would just export it, it would work. But in here, you can move it up and down. You see, this is the UVs. But select everything, go fit to UV. I don't know, it doesn't matter. I'll change it anyways, but there's one more thing that is different that this is important because of. This is not, I'm not going to use this UV exactly as it is in texturing, but it's important that you have all of the pieces that you have here visibly separated in UV window. So you see this little square? This represents the UV space. It can be 4 spaces, it can be whatever, but I always go with 1. Okay, back to what we were doing. 2D pattern window, select everything. And also, I'm going back and forth. 2D pattern window is not UV window. Just so you know. So it's not the same. So you can think like, oh, this is my UV, it looks perfect. And then you go into UV editor and it looks entirely different. Always check the UV editor. Even I forget it, you see. Select everything, go to File, Export, OBJ selected, Tutorial, and we said we're going to call it Raw Shirt. Save. Weld, single object, select all patterns. Then you might wonder like, oh, well, I want thickness in my object. And you can do it too, but it's not the type of thickness you want to use. This is very destructive thickness. What you can, there's one more thing you can do. I don't know if I should show you this, but okay, I'll show you anyways. I'm going back and forth again, but you get the point. Look, if you were to export this, it would look perfectly good. It would work. But there's one more trick that not a lot of people know about. Now, what is this? You can have underlying clothing beneath it, and it's going to look 10 times better. This is like a little trick. I learned about this, but I think not a lot of people know it. So look, you right click on this, and you go layer clone or under, not over but under, and you leave it on the side. This will be a bit more compute intensive towards your PC, but it's gonna make sense. So you see now we actually have, if I select this, you see it's below it. It's perfectly below it. You see? And if I simulate it, look at these lines. Take a look at these lines, the edges. Maybe I should have zoomed a bit better, but this is a bit more intensive. You're like, what did you do to my model? No, just wait. Wait and pay attention. We have to wait a bit longer. You see this line here, it's pretty messed up. Just wait. If you're on very low particle distance, you will have problems here. 3 is just enough. So give it a few more moments. Drink some coffee. Okay, this is enough. Click space to stop it. Now look, you'll see performance is downgraded a lot, but we will not use this. We just used it so it looks better. It's gonna make sense. I'm just waiting for this part to unfreeze because it's frozen. Okay, never mind. I don't know why is it acting retarded, but look at this. So now I will remove this part on the right side. But I cannot show you here because it's frozen for me as you see it. We'll also save it as, I'm saving it for like 3rd time under the same name, but I always remember something new. Well, I'll show you in ZBrush what happened, because in here it's frozen. We still don't go with thick. Don't ever go with thick. If someone tells you go thick, they're crazy, they don't know what they're saying. Weld, single object, thin, and millimeters. You select millimeters and you select 1%. This is what I use. You can just select 1. This is from, I learned 1 to work the best from trial and error. You can go below it, but 1 works good for me. Unified UV coordinates. And okay. It's gonna take some time. But before I move on to the ZBrush, I'll just show you one more thing as soon as it moves there. Let's see, it's Skyrim and it's tutorial. Wait, okay, it moved it here already. You see how it's broken for me. I don't know why, but you know, stuff happens. Maybe too many softwares open at the same time, who knows. Remember to save all of this now. I'll show you what that underlying thing, what it did. But you gotta wait. You got to wait. Maybe I speed up this part. Maybe I didn't. We'll see. Oh, it moved it onto another window. I have two monitors. Okay. In ZBrush, I'll just show you and then I'll end the episode for now. But when you're showing something in ZBrush, if you have a big monitor, you want to go to document, you want to go to around here. It doesn't matter what size. You click resize so you see something better. You click Control and then in the same time, and now everything is clear. So next up, you go into import on the right side and you find your tutorial row shirt. And okay, maybe I don't get to show you guys. It's the Marvel's designer crashed for me, so it didn't export the model. Okay, I'll fix it again. Oh, I have to re-export it. File. This is what happens, guys. You gotta get used to it. If you want to make clothing, if you want to make models, you will go back and forth a lot. You will remember things. It's not OBJ, it's ZBRJ. You see, it's because my memory is very low. But it saved it. Luckily, it managed to save it. And I get to show you this. It didn't change everything. I'll need to clean up some space, but okay. I need to do this part again. Like clone under, because it didn't clone it good. It crashed for me. For you it probably won't, but for me it does. One sec. Oopsie daisy. Now I have to wait. You know how it goes. Just wait. Gave it a few more moments. Even though I don't see now, we're probably like stuck inside of the body, but click space. Okay. If your character gets lost, you just right click and you go front. That's it. Let's leave it a bit more. Okay, that's enough. And now again, I already showed you guys this. I have to delete this again and I want to re-export. Export OBJ. Oh, I didn't select anything. Select everything. Make sure you have transform pattern here. File, export, OBJ selected. Where is it? 3D Skyrim tutorial row shirt. Yes, please. Again, get used to this. Weld thin 1% on millimeters. Okay. Okay, it did export it this time. Let's see if it's corrupted again. So it's ZBrush, import, row shirt. It's not corrupted anymore. Yuppie, there we go. So when you go in it, you gotta click on edit and you wanna click on make polymesh 3D so you can move it around. And let me show you one more thing. I always go with this green thing. If you don't have it there, it's probably for you like this. And you click here and then you select, I don't know, I like this the most because I get to view it best. And now I just want to show you something that why is ZBrush good for this? You can see that you don't have thickness, right? You see there's no real thickness here. We'll add it later, but you also see that you see these parts. You see, you can smooth it here. You can do whatever you want, but I won't do it in this episode. I'll do it in next. But I wanted to show you. And when you do that underlying thing, it makes this line pop. You see this line? It makes it pop. also this line. So we'll have to probably smooth this line. If you like it, you can leave it as it is. Also does it on this line. And it makes these folds thicker. So let's say if you have something, this is, you see it's a kind of baggy shirt. I mean, the top part is pretty tense. You see the tension folds here, but this part is pretty loose. You cannot have lines that are really like tense in this loose part. It just doesn't work. So that's why we use that under clone. Okay. And I think that's it for this video, guys. We'll fix this and we'll optimize it to work in game, because if you look at it now, you see this is way too many polygons. How much is this? This is like 88,000 polygons. It's too much. This will not work in game. So we'll need to lower it down, but still keep all of the quality of this 88,000 polygon piece. I'll see you in the next video, guys. If there's something that I missed, or if I'm not clear about anything, I can explain it better in the next video, but you have to tell me. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.